Ndinoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa My hitters gon' die, and real hitters gon' shine and my people gon' rise, 'cause we're born to win, I ain't saying this, but I'm saying
Loyalty's my favorite characteristic of God, but finding it in it is hard. It's like trying to find God. You're the only one in your camp with cheese. You pay for everything they eat. Man, that insecurity is deep. Now I ain't said no names. These are just theories. If you hear me, baby, hits home. You must admit it's kind of eerie, baby. Like them chemtrails in the sky. Hate the selling the slaves, kind of like the combines. We say everything in moderation, but don't do it in moderation. The lies of a gluttonous generation. 10-year-old girl in.
Happy Monday, y'all. Now, I know it's a surprise. Trae just took the break, but I'm going to be here with y'all all week. Shout out to my sister. I'm so happy you are joining A Day with Trae. So remember to like, share, and subscribe, okay? We have a jam-packed show today, and I can't wait for Pastor Jermell Witherpoon to come in. But before that, I got this relentless man over here. What's up, Big O?
Yo, Deaunte, how are you?
I'm doing really, really great. How was your weekend?
It was good. We got a pastor in the house.
Pastor?
Let the church say amen. Man, actually I had a fantastic weekend. I was down in the Lone Star State, down in Houston, Texas. My young daughter, Victoria, lives there in Houston. So I was hanging out there. I got a real important thing going on tomorrow with the GSBA, actually, up on Capitol Hill. And so I flew back for that, or else I'd still be in Houston.
Shout out to the GSBA. We love them.
Oh, yeah, of course. Hey, anybody can get Big O to come all the way back cross country, and I have an abundance of love and respect for GSBA and all those guys there. But, man, I had a really, really good weekend. How about you?
Honestly, I had a great weekend. I spent Saturday at home sleep. I spent Sunday in church. But at the same time, just gearing up for this week that we have here. But I want to talk about, can we talk about Converge here? Because y'all making big moves. That reconciliation tour, that was amazing.
Yo, all right. So, I get all like humble and shy and everything. I don't like talking about us per se, but I do like uplifting the work of our team here and also our partners like Baseball Beyond Borders.
Yes. And,
we're all fortunate enough to be in the house right down the street at T-Mobile Park on Tuesday for the private screening of reconciliation tour, and didn't find out until afterwards. The big dogs from the Mariners were there too. The president was there, and a lot of the executives were in the room, in the space, and the uplift was real.
Yes, it really, really was. I mean, just seeing community there, let alone big shout out to Buki. It was just really, I seen the previews, but that didn't even hold a candle to the actual.
The film is tight. And, you're always good at setting these clips up here. So you set this one up perfectly. We just got like a small overview from Tuesday.
Okay, let's check it out.
They're going to tell you about their experience, what they went through and what they seen as they participated both in the camp at Jackson, Mississippi, as well as the cultural experience in Montgomery, Alabama.
The film is the cherry on top. The trip was what mattered the most, and you heard these young kings talk about it.
And you can always make a difference in somebody's life by just talking to them.
Be kind and spread love to one another.
It just means so much to all of us, really, that we're a part of that trip, that you are all here to see it, because it was very impactful. I don't think anybody came back the same person that they were when they left for the trip.
These are opportunities we want to continue to offer because we are a family. We as a collective can drive the change that's needed to see baseball in West Jackson. It's up to y'all, right? So we're here as conduits to really help support you and really elevate the promise that you have to see baseball back in our community. And it's up to y'all, right? That's going to be that voice of reason, and that's going to talk to the community about what you need.
Wow, that didn't even hold a candle to the experience that was in there, the youth that were in there. It was, and per usual, Reverend here. Well,
Yeah,
I
Mama
mean,
was in
just
there.
watching that in awe. The just watching. I don't even watch baseball, y'all. Okay, I stayed a little bit for the game. Okay.
Yeah, I think that for me personally about this film, and particularly that day, and I didn't know that Buki was going to bring this up, but Buki told a story about how 6 years ago, it was Buki, E.C. Parker, and they called me, and we're at Joey at South Center. I'm like, man, we're trying to tell better stories about baseball beyond borders, and everything else. I had just moved back, and I was like, man, bro, we could just use an iPhone. I said, because it don't really matter, with the camera. It's the story to be told. And Buki talked about that. He was like, yo, 6 years ago, and it kind of dawned on me. And he was like, man, I don't know what Converge was doing 6 years ago, and when I had an opportunity to speak, I was like, yo, what Buki and nobody here realized is that while I was meeting with him, talking about how we could tell better stories about baseball, I was also working at the baseball stadium, selling concessions, selling beer, selling peanuts, to be able to afford a camera, and it's also like a statement that, man, when you really trying to go somewhere and do something, if you got a vision, man, don't let your current circumstances or what you have or don't have limit where you can go. And what I said there at the event was like, I didn't know that I would be in this room, but I always knew I'd be in this room.
I know that's right. Now that's the word. Now, can we still look at the records?
So what they're doing, Baseball Beyond Borders is doing, is they're taking a screening on the road. So they're going to be screening it all over America for the next few months, and then it's going to release to the public. And so, but we got a screening coming to the neighborhood though.
Okay.
We got something we're
So
going to release.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We want people to come out and see it.
I'm just so proud of everyone. Shaylon, just looking at Shaylon's face,
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of our community members from our family were in the building. So just watching some of those producers in that space was great.
Yeah, no, he worked hard on it. Yeah, and so it was really cool.
Okay.
It was really dope.
Well, shout out to family in that space. So there was something else going on this weekend, right?
Yeah, well, something that we covered. There's always a ton of stuff going on, but something that was really kind of near and dear to a photographer, Jordan Summers, was the protest that was here and really all across America. People in the Iranian community and people who just believe in human rights.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Took to the streets. We got a photo montage up there right now. It was a protest for Masa Amini. And this was a young woman over in Iran who was killed basically by this moral police over there because of her refusal to wear hijab. And man, people ain't having it. And like I said, Seattle was just one city across America that really took out to the streets. I think it's important that, we use our platform to bring awareness to this. I put in my Instagram, it's like no justice, you know what I'm saying, no peace. A lot of these protests have been overlooked by larger media outlets, but you know what I'm saying, we're always staying true to who we are. And I mean, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's Dr. Martin Luther King said that. Yes. So I might not hang out in the Iranian community, the Persian community, although I got lots of friends, by the way. But you know what I'm saying? It don't matter because, wrong is wrong. And we need to use our voices.
Absolutely. And shout out to Jordan. I know I just texted him and just said, oh, those are amazing photos. I wish I could have been. If I knew that was going on throughout the weekend, I would have been there.
What's crazy is on Instagram, people from the Iranian community all across America and North America have been hitting us. We're just a thank you. Thank you for using your platform to build awareness. Thank you for giving us voice. And I'm like, man, that's the minimum that we can do here at Converge. And we're going to continue to do that, you know what I'm saying, and uplift people and causes on for what's right. We got to do what we can while we can.
Absolutely. And thank you for doing all that you can. You work so hard.
Well,
I say this to this man every time off screen, but you work so hard, man. And I mean, you just saying you were leaving town to do family this weekend. That I was just so happy that you had a time to relax and enjoy yourself. But I just want to let you know how much we community appreciates you.
Well, thank you. I got a whatchamacallit. I put it up here.
Yeah.
So I want to continue to tell people you can go to our blog. Our blog is just getting better and better, thanks to Ike Everard. You know what I'm saying? And Ike Everard's commitment of really trying to elevate our blog space. So there on our blog, there's an overlay there. Curtis will put the link in the comments. You can read more about the protest I just mentioned. And also today is Monday. So today is another installment of Black Artists That You Should Know. You know, that's the T-Dub has put that together. And yeah, there it is right there. Barbara Earl Thomas. So you can, okay, that's what I'm talking about. You know, T-Dub went and bagged some big dogs,
right?
For Art of the Matter. You can go to our blog, whereweconverge.com/post, and you can read up on both of those.
T-Dub, when is season 2 coming out? I'm gonna look in the camera. When is season 2 coming out? I've been asking her, so I just can't wait for that, man. But thank you, O, for coming today. I really, really appreciate you, brother.
No, thank you for having me. And again, I want to say that of all these skills that you have, and sometimes we can leave this earth without realizing all the skill and talent that God, you know, put in us. And, you know, a lot of times, especially in our community, we're never fortunate enough to be in spaces that activate these talents that are deep within us. And I want to take this moment right here to acknowledge the fact that you're thriving at your highest purpose when you come into this studio. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know a year or 2 years ago or 6 months ago these capabilities that are within you. And every time that you come here and these lights come on, you continue to thrive at your highest level and at your highest purpose. And we're thankful to have you here.
I love you, brother. You ain't gonna get me to cry today. Up next, we have Pastor Jermell Witherpoon. You are watching A Day with Trae.
Community, it's been 3 years since we've been able to celebrate in person at our annual Evening of Choice. And this year at Access in Pioneer Square on October 19th at 6 p.m., we will be back together again, celebrating our journey, healing towards justice. This past couple of years have been incredibly difficult for our young people and our community at large. And one thing that has become clear and absolutely true is there's one way forward that brings all of us together, and that's as we heal. And when our young people heal, they're truly able to become who it is they've been purposed to be. So on this evening, you'll hear stories of our young people, hear the evolution of our organization as we emphasize healing in our cause. And together we will celebrate another year of impact and growth as we journey towards justice together. Again, it's at Access in Pioneer Square, 6 p.m. on October 19th, and live streaming will be available through YouTube at I Choose 180.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, for 2 years, the Liberation Church was completely virtual. Just this Sunday, they opened back up their doors, and I was a guest in there. But I'm just very happy to welcome this pastor here. This is a friend, Pastor Jermell Witherpoon.
Bless you, sir.
How are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Now walk me through the process. Now, I know that, what was it like opening up the church virtually during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, so I actually pastor 2 churches, one in Everett, and we've been open for quite some time. It is a predominantly white church. It's 120 years old. Things are a little more structured in the ways in which we we do things there, just because it has been around for so long. And Liberation, my church in Seattle, is very much, I call it my Seattle gentrified church.
Okay.
Because indeed, Seattle is gentrified. and it is in the heart of Seattle. And so we predominantly have folks of color. We have all sorts of folks that show up in the space to be a part of the community. And it has been essential for our community, for our mental health, for our physical health. And we have maintained an online status for the last 2.5 years, and now we are back in person.
Yes, and it's so great. It was such a great experience. First of all, listening to you talk, because you are also a friend of this, but listening to you preach a word to bring people together. You talked a lot about inclusivity, but I also want to talk a little bit about your history here in Seattle, because you are from the CD, right?
I'm from the CD.
Pastors don't throw up no sets, but I'm just saying, So can you tell us a little bit about growing up out here, which got you into your areas of faith, because you grew up in church, right?
Yeah, so I grew up deeply in church. I actually, I tell people all the time, I pastor 2 churches probably within maybe a 10-mile radius of maybe 4 or 5 of my family's churches and churches that I've grown up in. And in some ways, I preach the opposite of some of the spaces that I've been a part of and I've grown up in. And so I've seen the beauty of church, because I take all that it has taught me with me every single day, right? And I've seen the ways in which church has been detrimental to the living of particularly queer bodies.
Yeah.
And so I want to say this, that, and I don't want to just jump into the deep already, but church, I recognize as a pastor, as a contender of the faith, as one who studies biblical literature, and studies the bodies of people and the beings of people, and loves all of it. Church has been an anchor. It has been an anchor, especially in communities of color. And this anchor has held us steady. And this anchor has also pulled us down.
Yes.
It has drowned us in so many ways, because church has been a primary resource, right? An outlet from slavery in our experience as specifically Black people. And we've taken everything that church has given, and often we've asked no questions. And we have thought church to be our spiritual anchor that has caused us to leave all of us right behind to follow Jesus. And so my theology is deeply that in order to truly follow Jesus, we must pick up all of us.
Yeah.
And all of us goes into this space of spirituality.
But can we talk a little bit about that church hurt, right? I mean, growing up for a lot of people that may have either went through incarceration or may identify as LGBTQIA, or may have received some other type of trauma in the church. How can we do a better job of being more inclusive to those community members?
Yeah, trauma is learned and it's carried in our bodies. And so there are people who want nothing. Excuse my language. Can I use language here? Because I love it. I can. No? Okay, I won't. Because
I'm a guest on Trae's show, and I want to make sure I respect her space. So
I want to respect her space too, because I'm a pastor who feels my passion in the words that I use. And so I curse because our world in so many ways drives us to verbiage that is not so fruitful. Or that is fruitful and not so pleasant, right? Yes. And so I think that being here, being in this space, understanding that I am a public apology. I embody the apology that so many of our queer, so many of our Black little boys and girls deserve as they've traveled through spirituality and felt lost and abandoned. And still wanted to be close to a God who was love, but who could not stand to look at the fullness of who they were. And so church hurt is real. And I stand here today still as a Christian because God's love is realer.
Yes, right.
It is bigger, it is wider, it is vast, it is present, it is here, it is now, and it has always been for me. And so even in spaces that caused me to feel as if I could not bring the fullness of who I was. There was always, right, this speaking into my ear and this speaking into my spirit that said, Jermell, all of you, right, is what I love, and you are indeed made in my image, my divine image, right?
Okay.
And I am your God, right? I am your God. However, I need to show up for you, whether I am God, he, whether I am she, whether I am they, whether I am them, and I am for you.
You better be for it. You better preach a word today.
I'm a preacher. I'm long-winded.
Right. Yeah, I do want to ask you some more questions. Like, 'cause, I mean, there is so much more to Pastor Jermell, right? And we'll get to those things. We're going to take one more break, and we'll be back with A Day with Trae.
Basically, fam, believe in giving. Like, we have to be willing to give more, and people seem to always think giving means money, but nah, bro. It's like you can give time, you can give understanding, you can give access, you can give a listening ear and an open heart. You can give and share your God-given gifts and talents, but you just got to give.
Community, it's been 3 years since we've been able to celebrate in person at our annual Evening of Choice. And this year at Access in Pioneer Square on October 19th at 6 p.m., we will be back together again, celebrating our journey, healing towards justice. This past couple of years have been incredibly difficult for our young people and our community at large. And one thing that has become clear and absolutely true is there's one way forward that brings all of us together, and that's as we heal. And when our young people heal, they're truly able to become who it is they've been purposed to be. So on this evening, you'll hear stories of our young people, hear the evolution of our organization as we emphasize healing in our cause. And together we will celebrate another year of impact and growth as we journey towards justice together. Again, it's at Access in Pioneer Square, 6 p.m. on October 19th, and live streaming will be available through YouTube at I Choose 180.
And we're back with Pastor Jermell Witherpoon. And, you know, and we were just talking over the break about history, and shout out to O and Curtis, because we were all having this conversation, right, about some of the, well, just showing up in community. And just recently, with showing up in community without fear, right? And just recently you spoke at, was the National Black HIV Awareness Day, which was Tuesday. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. POCAN. I am a supporter of POCAN. Love them, and they have supported me in so many amazing ways. I spoke at this event for folks who have been affected, particularly men who have been affected by HIV. And, you know, I really came from a space of the inadequacy and the ways in which church has made folks feel dirty, right? And the ways in which church has made and perverted love. Yeah. And so my theology, right, and the ways in which I walk through life, what's at the forefront is do no harm. And so when there is wrong interpretation, right, of scripture, because let's just be clear, most of the folks who are telling you what they are telling you are not educated to tell you anything. So the folks who indeed have the most to say are usually the ones who have the least in study. And so there are a couple things that we've got to look at, right? We've got to contextualize text, right? The beautiful text that we read. Not only do we have to do that, we've got to figure out what the nature of God is. And if your God is an asshole, you will walk through life as an asshole. It's just what it is, right? And so many of our gods in big churches and beautiful cathedrals is literally lives to make us suffer, lives to tear us apart, lives to make us feel nasty and dirty. And we replicate that God as we walk through the earth. Mm-hmm. And so as we look at, as I was talking to folks, right, who have been affected affected by HIV. The truth is that so many people have come to that space in so many ways. And they've come to that space by so many avenues, right? Some, had maybe partners that they loved that were dishonest, right? Some maybe have done drug use. Some maybe, you know what I mean, have been careless,
Yes.
right? And when you feel worthless to begin with, there's not much that you will do to take care of your worth, to take care of your beauty. The church does a really good job of making people feel like dirt. And then when they travel on the ground and get dirty, they demonize them further.
Ooh, can you say that one more time?
The church does a really good job at making folks feel like dirt. And then when they begin to travel on the ground, where dirt is, right? Then they demonize them further. We really only want to address what we can see. That's why I could do ministry for so long as a same gender loving man, right? And do it as long as no one knew what I was doing.
Yes.
Right? Or as long as I didn't live into who I was fully, as long as, I was being delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got delivered.
Yes, right.
I got delivered into the beauty of who God had called me to be. And thank God that I didn't do more harm that I had already done to myself in so many ways, because of the ways in which not spirituality, but religion made me feel. Yeah. And so, we have folks that are sneaking in the back of choir stands, right? We have big conferences, church conferences, and folks are screwing randomly in hotel rooms and having orgies. And you don't want to talk about that, yeah. Right? They're doing it silently. They're doing it where no one can see, because they can't even imagine the beauty that could come from real, true, queer love that does no harm.
Amen. And see, and first of all, that's why I need you to come in here today, so people can get this word. And then what I love about you, Jermell, is like you are outreaching to all areas of community. You're currently working with some youth, right?
I am, yes. So I work for a space called Lambert House. They've brought me in to do some faith engagement work.
Can you let people know just a little bit about the history of Lambert House?
Yeah, so Lambert House, right, it does work. We do work with LGBTQIA youth. That it is a drop-in center for LGBTQIA youth. And what I do particularly is I do some bridge building work. So I don't just work with pastors that believe the same thing I do.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So let's be clear.
Yeah. Right.
I believe in higher thought. Right. I believe in broader ways of thinking and living. I believe the more we know, the less we understand. And so I don't hang around with people that just believe everything I do. That's boring. But I will address harm.
Right.
So you don't have to believe what I believe, but you cannot do harm and say that you believe in what I believe, mm-hmm. because the nature of my God does not do harm. It does not cause hurt, right? She does not put people in spaces wherein they feel inadequate and worthless. He does not, right? They do not do these things. This spirit, this triumphant spirit, right? That says, right, even in scripture, that God came, right? This beautiful being, Jesus, that we acknowledge came that we all might have life, and that we might have that more abundantly, not just in heaven, but on earth, that we would live good, wholesome, holy lives,
yes.
And that we would live it according to our own convictions.
Yes, and I just think that that's amazing, just to make sure that our youth, because
yes.
how we grew up, right?
Yes.
In that way of just not even knowing that
yeah.
you could be. Right?
You could be.
And people can actually, and you can actually be your whole self, and people will show up for you and
yeah.
support you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And not mask it with
yeah.
their own convictions.
Yeah. And statistically, the truth is that youth who say that they are engaged in spirituality, right? And not just spirituality, but further than that, like religious practice, who are LGBTQIA, are at higher risks for almost everything, right? They are the ones who are struggling the most. Mm-hmm. The ones who are supposed to have a loving, kind, gracious God are killing themselves the most.
Yes.
The ones who are supposed to be subscribing to a beautiful wonder that we sing about and cry about in service, that walks with us and talks with us. The one who is supposed to have some foundation, as I spoke about earlier, right, is being pulled down by what should be stabilizing them, and they are being drowned.
Yes.
They're being drowned. And what we say from the pulpit, the bullshit that I've heard from the pulpit, from leaders, from pastors, from people who the core foundation of who they are is to love, is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
And so I've got to address that.
And that's real. That is. Listen, I want to just take your video. It's every question I'm asking you, I just want to take them and clip them, because it's just this is really a testament to exactly state of union of where we are at as community, as Black community members. Notice I don't need to say the letters, because if we're going to be a part of this whole diaspora of community, it's a we. It's not a them. It's not Black them. It's Black all of us, and I think that's really important. So let us know.
Can I say something real quick? I'm sorry.
Could.
Because speaking of Blackness, I am Black first.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And not only have I seen, right, Black religious experience push aside LGBTQIA folks.
Yeah.
Right. But I've got family members, right, that are on drugs, that walk the streets. Right. And sometimes we live in spaces of have and have nots. And unless you would like to be delivered, unless you would like to be more, I have people who I know who are not at a certain social economical status who cannot give their tithing and their offering, who ain't shit. Let's be clear.
Okay.
So this is not just about folks who live into LGBTQIA space. If we are Black, we walk down the street as Black men.
Yeah.
And then all the other intersectionality, some might not agree with me, and you don't have to, but all the intersectionalities come when we open our mouth, when we share our experiences. But as I walk down the street as a Black man, and I encounter the ways in which religion has ostracized and pushed people aside, it is cringing. And then I cannot, though, overlook the beauty and the love of a gracious God, because that will always outweigh for me the horrible spaces that people, because of the ways in which they've been systemized, have done what they've done to people because of their ignorance. God is always greater.
Yes. Yeah. I just want to jump up and hug you. Can you let us know? What we need to know now too is, how can people support your congregations, and if you could just look in the camera, let people know where they can find you, because I need more of this, and I need to see more often. And will you come on an episode of We Live in Color?
I will, because I just happen to live in color.
I feel like there's just a little bit more just to ask you in that space, but in the meantime, just look into the camera and let people know how we can be able to support.
Yeah. So the first thing you can do to support is be supported. The first thing you can do to support is come into the space that you need in order for you to live your best life. The first thing that you can do to support is remove yourself from spaces where you have to come in and go out feeling like crap day after day. And that's in all aspects of your life, because we are a space that is for you living the best you that you can live. Our church address is 832 32nd Avenue. We are in Seattle, Washington, 98122. You can go to our Facebook page. If you're in Seattle, you can go to Liberation United Church of Christ. You can go to our website, mylucc.org. If you are in Everett, you can feel free to also come to Everett United Church of Christ. And you can check me out. My name is Jermell Witherpoon. I'm on social media. If y'all see me around, don't act like that. Say hi. Be kind, right? You might see me at, I support community. If you see me at the club, buy me a drink. Yes, period. Right. Be kind and love one another and be in community and support one another. Because the fact of the matter is, all you, queer and LGBTQI folk and Black folk and minoritized folk out there, you've been building church for a long time, even when it was not in a specific building. You've been building church without a cross. You've been building church and community without the things that we think are normative in order to be spiritual and embrace spirituality. So don't stop doing that, right? Come to my church. Let's do it. And if you don't come to my church, find a space wherein you can live the best you.
Yes.
The best you that you can live, because you deserve it. You deserve it. And it is God's desire that no one should be lost. And I'm not talking about hell, because I don't really believe in that no more anyway. But that no one should be lost in the earth, but all should come to beautiful wholeness and beautiful right life and living.
I just appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
Love you.
I love you.
We've been doing this for a while now. You know,
we got a lot to do.
Redmond, we got more to do. But I just appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming. And please, y'all, support Liberation Church.
Yes, sir.
Now, that was Monday, y'all. But Tuesday, we about to be lit up in here because our next guest is going to be just fire. We got Chris Harper, right, from Black and Tan. He gonna let us know more about this upcoming play that's coming up. Maybe I can be an extra. I don't know, y'all. I'm trying, but today you've been watching The Day with Trae. Y'all be well and be great.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.